If someone told me that accepting a random DM would change my life forever, in both the best and worst way, I would have laughed. But now I just shake my head, because that's exactly what happened. One night, I was scrolling through Instagram stories in my bonnet and oversized hoodie, just living my peaceful, drama-free life. I had just gotten out of a long, dead relationship with a guy who barely remembered my birthday and thought quality time meant watching me wash his socks. So yeah, I wasn't exactly pressed to be anybody's girlfriend again. That night, I got a message request from someone named J_Millionaire_life. I rolled my eyes so hard they almost fell out. I mean, the name alone screamed 419 or fake crypto plug, right? But something about the profile was weirdly convincing. Verified. Clean photos. Not the usual money spread on the bed energy. Just him in suits, smiling, with luxury cars and business meetings in his highlights. I clicked out of it, said not today, Satan, and went to bed. But the next morning he messaged again. This time it wasn't flirty or thirsty. Just, I know this is random, but I saw your story through a tag, and you have the kindest eyes. Not trying to disturb, just wanted to say that. Now listen, I don't fall for lines. I'm not one of those. He called me beautiful, so I gave him my house deed, babes. But something about that message softened me. It wasn't trying too hard. It felt normal. So I replied, just a thanks. That's it. That little thanks is what opened the door to a story I would still be unpacking years later. His name, at least the one I knew at the time, was Jaden Cole. Rich, respectful, ridiculously well-dressed. We started talking, nothing serious. But he listened. Like really listened. He remembered things. My favorite color. That I hated durians. That I had a fear of elevators because I once got stuck in one for 2 hours in high school. No man had ever paid attention to me like that. And before I knew it, I was falling. Hard. So boom, within the first 2 weeks of chatting, Jaden had me on FaceTime like we were high school sweethearts. Every single night. He'd call just to say goodnight. Just to check in. He'd randomly send money for lunch with a cute little message like, "Don't skip meals, CEO." I mean, who was this man? A fever dream? Because he was acting like the blueprint, and my naive little heart was eating it up like jollof rice after a long fast. I remember the first time he sent me a gift. It was a small white box, hand-delivered. Inside was a dainty gold bracelet with my name engraved in cursive. Noekachin. No reason. Just thought you might like this. Do you know how long I stared at that thing? I wasn't used to that kind of energy. I had dated men who would complain if I asked them to help me carry my own birthday cake. And here was this man, who I hadn't even met in person yet, treating me like I was soft, rare, and deserving. The thing is, when you've been starved of love, you'll confuse kindness for soulmates. And I didn't realize that what he was doing wasn't just love. It was love bombing. I had heard the term before, but I thought it was something that only happened in Netflix documentaries or Reddit horror stories. Not to girls like me. Not in real life. But it was real. And it was happening fast. He started talking about the future like it was already guaranteed. When we travel to Bali. When I meet your mom. When we buy our house. And here's the thing, he wasn't just talking. He was planning. Sending me links to real estate listings. Asking if I liked marble countertops or dark wood floors. He even asked for my passport details to surprise me with a trip. Like, who does that? I should have been suspicious, but I was too busy picking out matching airport outfits in my head. Looking back now, that was the trap. That was how he hooked me. He studied me, figured out exactly what I needed to hear, and then built a fantasy so vivid, so perfect, that I stopped questioning it. I stopped looking for red flags. I was already picturing the wedding hashtag. And the wildest part? I still hadn't met him in person. After nearly 6 weeks of late-night FaceTimes, gift deliveries, sweet texts, and promises of forever, Jaden finally said those 5 words I had been low-key dying to hear. I'm flying in this weekend. I won't lie, my stomach did a cartwheel. I mean, we'd been building this intense emotional connection for weeks, but I still hadn't touched his hand, smelled his cologne, or even verified if his height matched his IG photos. I was excited, but also nervous. What if the spark didn't translate in real life? What if he was shorter? What if his voice sounded different without Wi-Fi? But when I saw him step out of that black Mercedes at the hotel entrance, it was like a scene out of a movie. He looked exactly like his pictures. If not better. Tall, smooth dark skin, fitted white shirt, designer shades, and the kind of scent that made my knees weak. He opened his arms and I melted into them like I'd known him for years. Every insecurity I had flew out the window. We didn't even go inside right away. We just stood there, holding each other, like the world had finally clicked into place. That weekend was perfect. Candlelit dinners. Long drives with Afrobeat playlists. He even made reservations at this rooftop lounge I had mentioned in passing weeks ago. He remembered. He always remembered. But still, I couldn't shake this weird little itch in the back of my mind. He never let me post him. He claimed he was a private person, and that his business partners don't like him sharing personal life online. At first I got it. Not everyone's a social media person, right? But then he'd take dozens of photos of me, solo, and never ask for one together. Not one couple selfie. I asked once jokingly, and he smiled, kissed my forehead, and said, "Soon, babe. When we're official." That should have been my first real flag. But love goggles are stronger than common sense sometimes. The second red flag? His phone never rang. Not once. He always texted people, never answered calls in front of me. When he did take a call, it was always out on the balcony. And if I so much as looked his way during those calls, he'd hang up quickly and say it was work stress. My gut whispered something was off, but my heart told me not to ruin a good thing with unnecessary doubt. He left after 4 days, and I swear, I cried like we'd just ended a marriage. That's how deep he had gotten into my skin. He promised he'd be back in 2 weeks. And I believed him. But that was the last time I saw Jaden Cole in person. Because what came next wasn't love. It was a lesson. The Monday after Jaden left, I felt like I was floating. I was texting my girls like, "He's the one." I swear, I've never felt this safe with someone before. I had already changed his name in my phone to Jaden Redheart future husband, and I wasn't even embarrassed about it. That man had me in a chokehold, and at the time, I was grateful for it. But then the energy started shifting. First, his responses slowed down. We used to FaceTime every night. Now it was once every 3 days. Then he started replying to texts with dry KS and "Talk soon, babe." Like we were suddenly co-workers. I gave him grace at first. Maybe work was hectic. Maybe he was tired from travel. I didn't want to be one of those clingy girls who needed constant reassurance. But then I didn't hear from him for 4 days straight. No call. No text. Nothing. I spiraled. I checked his Instagram stories. Nothing there either. His WhatsApp. Last seen 2 days ago. My chest felt tight. This was the same man who used to panic if I didn't reply in 30 minutes. Now I was staring at my phone like a clown, refreshing, waiting, pacing. On day 5, I finally broke and sent a long text. "Hey, I don't know what's going on, but if you need space, just let me know. I'd rather hear the truth than be ignored." He replied 3 hours later with, "Sorry babe, work's been mad. I'll explain soon. Miss you." Miss me? Miss me? That reply made my stomach flip, but not in the good way. That was the kind of response someone sends when they're already halfway out the door, but trying to keep the backup plan warm. I knew it. I just didn't want to accept it. I decided I needed answers. So I did what any woman with intuition and too much free time does. I started digging. I went back to our earliest DMs. Checked his tagged photos. Scanned comments. Looked through the likes on his old posts. I even clicked on the business pages he had tagged in his captions. Some were legit. But then I found something that made my blood run cold. One of the business meetings he posted about months ago, the venue's page had a group photo from the same night. And in the back corner, Jaden, holding hands with a woman. Not just any woman. A woman in a white dress. A woman with a ring on her left hand. A woman who in the caption was referred to as Mrs. Cole. I dropped my phone. My throat went dry. Mrs. who? I picked up my phone like it was burning. Heart pounding so loud I could hear it echoing in my ears. I zoomed in on the photo to be sure. Maybe I was mistaken. Maybe it just looked like him. But nope. Same smile, same chain, same custom Rolex I complimented the day he picked me up from the hotel. It was him. And she? She was stunning. The kind of beautiful that looked expensive without trying. Long hair. A quiet elegance. And the ring on her finger? It could blind a hater from across the street. The caption read, "Celebrating love, business, and new beginnings. Congrats to the Coles." I had to sit down. My knees literally gave out. My heart didn't just break. It cracked open in disbelief. Was this the same man who kissed me goodnight just 2 weeks ago? The same man who promised me the world and told me I had wife energy? The same man who said I had the kindest eyes? I was staring at his actual wife. And somehow, the way she looked. calm, collected, and glowing, made it hurt even more. Because she didn't look betrayed. She looked secure. Which meant this wasn't a secret affair. This was a pattern. I wasn't the exception. I was one of many. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe they were separated. Maybe it was old. Maybe it was business only and Mrs. Cole was a nickname. I grasped at straws like a drowning woman. But deep down, I already knew. I confronted him. I didn't send a long message. Just a screenshot and 3 words. Care to explain? He left it on read. For 6 hours. When he finally responded, all he said was, "It's not what it looks like." I let out the ugliest laugh I've ever heard. The kind that comes from your belly and tastes like betrayal. Not what it looks like. Sir, you are holding her hand in a wedding photo. That's when I knew. I wasn't just being lied to. I was the side chick. And I didn't even know it. And just like that, the man I thought I was going to marry turned into the stranger who'd ruined my peace. You'd think after finding out I was basically the side character in someone else's marriage, I would have gone full flip the table mode. But I didn't. I didn't block him. I didn't text the wife. I didn't post anything. I just got quiet. And that silence? That was my power. I knew from the way Jaden replied, "It's not what it looks like," that I wasn't dealing with a man who had a conscience. I was dealing with a man who had a system. A man who probably had a wife, a girlfriend, and a whole department of women on rotation, each thinking they were the special one. So I opened a new folder on my phone and started saving everything. Screenshots, voice notes, video calls, bank transfers, pictures of the bracelet, dates, times, locations. Every conversation that proved he had emotionally manipulated me while actively married. I treated it like a case file. Because if he was going to play me like a fool, I was going to move like a lawyer. But the wildest part? He kept texting me. Not every day, but enough. Just little hope you're good check-ins. Testing the waters. And I pretended to still be hurt but open. I gave dry replies, just enough to make him think I wasn't planning anything. Because let me tell you, men like him only fear 2 things. Exposure and silence. While I was playing polite, I reached out to someone he probably didn't expect me to, his cousin. Jaden had once mentioned his cousin Darius, in passing during a random convo about family. And me, being a natural FBI agent when I need to be, remembered the last name and the company he worked for. I found Darius's professional page online, and DM'd him casually. No drama. Just. I'm trying to reach Jaden about a payment he promised me for a business project. Is he still married to the woman in this photo? Just wanted to clarify before I escalate things legally. Attaching the wedding photo was intentional. I didn't even need to wait long. Darius replied within 2 hours. Wait, who are you? And that's when I knew. Even his own family didn't know about the little games he was playing in the shadows. This wasn't just about me anymore. I had uncovered a mask he wore in every room. But now, I had the receipts. And I was done protecting his image. So, remember how I said I stayed silent? Yeah, that ended the moment Darius, his cousin, called me. Not messaged, called. I was at a cafe with my laptop when my phone rang. A known number. I stepped outside, answered. And his voice came through heavy and cautious. Yo, I'm sorry for calling like this. But, are you saying Jaden was talking to you while married to Renee? I could have lied. Could have softened it. But I didn't. Yes. And not just talking. We dated for 2 months. He flew out to meet me. Told me he loved me. Promised me a future. I have everything. I didn't even know he was married until last week. The line went quiet. Then Darius let out the longest sigh. Damn. I knew he was sneaky, but I didn't know it was like this. That conversation? It cracked something open. Darius told me he'd been suspicious of Jaden for years. Said Renee's family didn't like him, but she married him anyway because he made her feel seen. Sound familiar? Jaden was running the same emotional playbook on every woman in his life. So I gave Darius the green light. I sent him a condensed file of my Jaden evidence pack. He promised not to make it messy, but said he couldn't sit on the truth either. He said, Renee deserves to know who she's actually married to. 2 days later, it all came crashing down. Jaden called me from a different number. Back to back to back. I didn't pick up. Then he texted. You told my cousin? Why are you trying to ruin my life? And just like that, the soft-spoken millionaire prince turned into a panicked, angry little boy whose secrets were slipping through his fingers. The mask was gone. The fake peace. The fake maturity. All of it evaporated. I texted back just one sentence. You ruined your life the day you invited me into it under false pretenses. And that was the last time I ever heard his voice. Because Renee? She wasn't just furious. She was ready to burn everything down. I was in my room, bonnet on, eating cold rice straight out the container when I got the notification. Renee Cole has requested to follow you. My heart stopped. I stared at it like the app was malfunctioning. The same Mrs. Cole from the wedding photo. The woman I had unknowingly disrespected by loving her husband. My fingers hovered over the accept button for a good 10 minutes. I didn't know what she wanted. Was she going to curse me out? Threaten me? Cry? Eventually I accepted. 10 minutes later I got a DM. Hi, can we talk? Short. Polite. Dangerous. I replied. Of course. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. And she called. No warning. No delay. No time to breathe. Her voice was calm, but there was something chilling about it. The kind of calm that comes right before a woman flips a table. She thanked me, for being honest, for not blocking her, for not hiding like he was currently doing. Then she said something I will never forget. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad that he thought you'd never find out about me. And that I'd never find out about you. She told me everything. How they'd been married for 3 years. How they were in therapy for infidelity issues he claimed were just emotional. How he was supposedly working on himself. All that time he was collecting women like souvenirs. Love bombing, lying, leaving. Rinse, repeat. She asked for the screenshots. The voice notes. The receipts. And without hesitation, I sent them. All of it. Not because I wanted revenge, but because she deserved to stop loving a man who was never real to begin with. After she saw everything, she said, "Thank you for helping me wake up. I should have left him a long time ago." I asked her one thing before we ended the call. Are you going to stay with him? She paused, then replied, I stayed for too long already. Now, he can sleep beside his lies. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't threaten him. She simply chose herself. And in that moment, I realized something important. She and I weren't enemies. We were survivors of the same performance. 2 days after Renee and I had that heart-to-heart, something unexpected happened. I got added to a WhatsApp group called Jaden's Greatest Hit Skull. No profile photo. No intro. Just 5 women. Different names. Different cities. All of us had been dating him. At first, I thought it was a prank. I mean, how did they even find me? But then one of the girls, her name was Amara, voice noted and said, if you're in this group, you've already been lied to by Jaden Cole. Welcome to the club. Apparently, one of the girls had found my IG through mutuals after Renee aired out the whole saga on her story. She did it so gracefully, by the way. No curse words, no chaos. Just a clean post with screenshots, a soft face card selfie, and the caption. To every woman he made feel special, you were not alone. I'm done protecting a liar. And just like that, the gates of hell opened. For him. One by one, each woman dropped her timeline, her receipts, her how we met story. We laughed. We cried. We cringed at how similar his lines were. He told each of us we had healing energy. Each of us thought we were his first safe space. One of them even found out he reused the same voice notes across women, word for word. That's when it stopped being heartbreak and turned into a documentary. One of the girls, Kemi, was a digital marketer. She said, let's make this viral. Not out of hate, but because if this man is this smooth, someone else is definitely falling for him right now. So we did. We created an anonymous page and told our stories. No names. No faces. Just raw truths. Screenshots. Voice notes. Side-by-side timelines. And a disclaimer. We're not bitter. We're not broken. We're just done being silent. The page hit 30K followers in 3 days. Jaden went underground. Deleted his socials. Changed his number. But the damage was already done. Because now? His lies had a trail. And his charm had a warning label. About 2 weeks after the Jaden files went viral, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line, closure from Jaden. For a moment, my heart skipped. A small, stupid part of me hoped he might actually apologize like a grown man. Maybe admit what he did. Maybe show a little shame. But no. I opened the email and what I found wasn't an apology. It was damage control. He started with, I know I messed up, but... which, as we all know, is never a good sign. He said he never meant to hurt anybody, that he got caught up in lies that got out of control, and that he wasn't thinking straight. He claimed he genuinely loved parts of all of us, like we were puzzle pieces on his toxic vision board. He ended it with, "If you really cared about me, you wouldn't have tried to destroy my life publicly." Can you imagine? Sir, you deceived 5 women at once like it was a job, and then tried to make us feel guilty for telling the truth? I didn't even reply, but I did forward the email to the group chat. And let me tell you, the roast session that followed was better than therapy. We read every line out loud like it was a script from a bad Nollywood film. One of the girls even said, "This man cheated on his wife, scammed 5 women, and still had the audacity to center himself in an apology. That's talent." But here's what really hit me. His email confirmed what we already knew. Jaden Cole had no intention of changing. He wasn't sorry for what he did. He was sorry he got caught. And that realization? It was freedom. It reminded me that closure doesn't come from the person who broke you. It comes when you finally stop needing them to explain it. After that day, I stopped checking for updates. I stopped replaying old voice notes. I stopped letting his voice echo in my head. Because what I had now was a group of women who had turned pain into power. Let's get one thing clear. Healing is not some spa day aesthetic. It's not waking up one morning and saying, "Ah yes, I am healed now." No. It's crying over an old voice note at 2 a.m. even though you know he wasn't real. It's blocking and unblocking his profile just to see if he's still invisible. It's checking the group chat and feeling half comforted, half humiliated that you were one of many. Healing looked like me deleting our old photos, and then pulling them out of the trash just to look one more time. It looked like me almost texting him on his birthday, then remembering he probably told 5 other women the same birthday story he told me. Healing looked like standing in the mirror asking myself, how did I let this happen? But slowly things shifted. I started sleeping through the night again. I went an entire day without mentioning his name. I looked in the mirror and started seeing me again, not the girl who got played. I started laughing again. Real laughter. The kind that fills a room and surprises you because you forgot what your own joy sounded like. And I started doing something that changed everything. Talking. Not just with the girls from the chat. I told my sister. I told my therapist. I told people I trusted. And every time I said it out loud, I was lied to by someone I loved. The shame started to loosen its grip. Because here's the thing about shame. It thrives in silence. But the moment you speak, it loses its power. I wasn't dumb. I wasn't desperate. I was just human. I believed someone who made me feel seen. And instead of blaming myself for falling, I started giving myself credit for getting back up. And that's when healing really began. It was a random Saturday. I had thrown on leggings, a hoodie, and a cap, looking like a walking, "I'm just here for groceries" meme. I wasn't trying to be cute. I was trying to buy oat milk and leave. Simple. But God clearly had a sense of humor that day, because guess who I saw walking into the same store, hand in hand with someone? Jaden. And Renee. My heart didn't just skip. It did a full backflip and landed on its neck. They looked fine. Too fine. Matching neutrals, coordinated smiles. He even opened the car door for her like he wasn't the villain in 5 different private WhatsApp chats. I stood frozen near the banana stand like I was trying to calculate potassium levels, but really I was just fighting a war inside my soul. Do I walk over? Do I say something? Do I pretend I didn't see him? Renee saw me first. And I'll never forget the look she gave me. Not anger. Not embarrassment. Just strength. She whispered something to him, and Jaden, who hadn't noticed me yet, turned. Y'all. He froze. His entire face changed like someone unplugged his confidence. He tried to act casual, gave a small nod like we were co-workers who once shared a printer. But it was Renee who made the moment unforgettable. She looked me dead in the eye and mouthed, "Thank you." Then she grabbed his hand again and walked off, chin high, dignity intact. I didn't cry. I didn't spiral. I picked up my oat milk and walked out of that store like I was in slow motion, and Beyoncé was playing behind me. Because in that moment, I realized I wasn't the hurt girl anymore. I was the woman he could never lie to again. About a month after that surprise grocery store run-in, I was finally in a good place. Like genuinely good. I had unpinned our old chats. Archived the memories. I even took a solo trip just to prove to myself I didn't need anyone to spoil me. I could do it myself. Then one night, I was scrolling through my DMs and saw a name I didn't recognize. I think I know who you are. I'm so sorry to bother you. I clicked on the profile. Private account, no posts, barely any followers. My gut immediately tensed up. I didn't reply right away. I let it sit for a day. But curiosity? She's a loud roommate. So eventually I responded with, "Hey, what's this about?" And what she said next shook me. She replied, "I was talking to Jaden for months. I didn't know he was married either. I just found out about everything and I feel so stupid." Another one? I swear I sat on the edge of my bed like I was watching a plot twist in a drama I wasn't emotionally prepared for. She said she had stumbled across the viral thread we posted weeks ago and started connecting the dots. Same compliments. Same routines. Same lies. She was the sixth woman. And she was 19. 19. That's when the laughter left my throat and got replaced with rage. Because now, this wasn't just about heartbreak. It was about predatory patterns. Jaden wasn't a messy lover. He was a manipulative architect, carefully choosing women, studying their softness, feeding off it. And this girl? She was fresh out of secondary school. I brought it to the group chat. Everyone was furious. Some wanted to reopen the thread, go louder, expose him again. But then I paused. What if we did something better than exposing him? What if we created something that protected the next girl before she even fell? And that's the moment our group chat went from survival space to movement. After hearing from the sixth girl, barely 19, hurt, confused, and blaming herself for being too naive, something inside all of us snapped. This wasn't just a bad breakup anymore. This was bigger. This was a pattern. And we realized, if Jaden could do this so smoothly, so convincingly, and almost get away with it, how many other men like him were out there doing the same thing? So we took the group chat to the next level. We created a private support platform called Unmasked. A space where women could anonymously share their dating red flags, emotional manipulation stories, and warnings. No names. No exposure. Just connection, truth, and safety. Think Reddit meets therapy meets sisterhood. It blew up within 2 weeks. Women from all over started sharing their Jadens. Different faces. Same methods. Same mind games. One girl said, "Reading these stories made me realize I wasn't crazy. I was just targeted." And that was it. That was the whole point. We didn't want revenge. We wanted restoration. We hosted virtual sessions. Invited therapists to talk about love bombing, trauma bonding, and how to stop confusing chaos with passion. We created checklists. Shared boundaries. Taught women how to document early signs, how to trust their instincts again. And the most beautiful part? Renee joined us. Not as the wife. Not as the victim. But as a woman who had been gaslit, shattered, and who stood back up with class. She told her story. Answered questions. Became a mentor to younger girls who were still untangling themselves from manipulative men. Jaden's name was never mentioned again. Not because we were afraid, but because he no longer deserved space in our healing. He became irrelevant. What remained was us. Whole. Wiser. Louder. And finally free. It's wild how someone can enter your life, tear it to shreds, and still think they have control over the story that comes after. But let me tell you, they don't. Not Jaden. Not any man like him. Not the ghosters. Not the manipulators. Not the smooth-talking heartbreakers who smell like Dior and walk like they own the world. Because I reclaimed my story. Not by blasting him. Not by dragging him through the mud. But by walking out of the shame he tried to leave me with, and walking into my truth instead. I used to think I had to wait for an apology to move on. That healing had to be neat, or pretty, or poetic. But healing was messy. It came in waves. Some days I missed the idea of him. Some nights I hated myself for falling for it. But every morning I chose to wake up and remind myself, you did nothing wrong by loving someone who lied. You're not weak because you gave someone a chance. And you're not broken because someone mistook your softness for stupidity. If anything, that love, that heartbreak, that fall, it made me sharper, smarter, softer in the right places and tougher in the places that matter. So if you're listening to this, somewhere, wondering how you ended up here, this story is yours too. Maybe not the exact details. Maybe not Jaden. But the ache? The questions? The slow rebuild of self-worth? Yeah, I see you. And let me be the one to tell you. You're not crazy. You're not alone. And sis, you're not finished. Your real love story. The one where you don't have to shrink, beg, or guess. That one's still coming. And as for me, I didn't just survive. I transformed.